ever had. Got it my last year in high school, and it took me damn near through college. I'm sure sorry it didn't last. I made good money too. Made so much, I changed from City College to Columbia my sophomore year. Mr. Lloyd saw to it I got a good education. He had nothing against the Negro race, he said, and I don't believe he did. He certainly treated me swell from the time I met him till that high brown I'm going to tell you about drove him crazy. Now, Mr. Lloyd was a man like this. He had plenty of money. He liked his liquor, and he liked his women. That was all. A damn nice guy till he got a hold of this Jane from Harlem, or till she got a hold of him. My people, they won't do. They'd mess up the Lord if he got too intimate with them. Poor Negroes. I guess I was to blame. I should have told Mr. Lloyd she didn't mean him no good, but I was minding my own business, and I minded it too well. That was one of the things Mr. Lloyd told me when I went to work there. He said, "Boy, you're working for me, nobody else. Keep your mouth shut about what goes on here, and I'll look out for you. You're in school, ain't you? Well, you won't have to worry about money to buy books and take your friends out if you stay with me." He paid me $22 a week, and I ate and slept in. He had a 4-room apartment, as cozy a place as you want to see, looking right over Riverside Drive. Swell view. In the summer, when Mr. Lloyd was in Paris, I didn't have a damn thing to do but eat, sleep, and air the furniture. I got so tired that I went to summer school. "What you gonna be, boy?" he said. I said, "A dentist, I reckon." He said, "Go to it. They make a hell of a lot of money if they got enough sex appeal." He was always talking about sex appeal and loving. He knew more dirty stories, Mr. Lloyd did. And he liked his women young and pretty. That's about all I do, spend my time cleaning up after some woman he'd have around or making sandwiches and drinks in the evenings. When I did something extra, he'd throw me a $5 anytime. I made oodles of money. Hell of a fine guy, Mr. Lloyd, with his 40-11 pretty gals, right out of the scandals or the back pages of Vanity Fair. Sweet and willing. His wife was paralyzed, so I guess he had to have a little outside fun. They lived together in White Plains, but he had a suite in the Hotel Roosevelt and an office down on Broad. He says, when I got the job, "Boy, no matter what you find out about me, where I live or where I work, don't you connect up with no place but here. No matter what happens on Riverside Drive, don't you take it no further." "Yes, sir, Mr. Lloyd," I said. I knew where my bread was buttered. So I never went near the office or saw any of his other help but the chauffeur, and him a chap. Only thing I didn't like about the job, he used to bring some awfully cheap women there sometimes. Big timers, but cheap inside. They didn't know how to treat a servant. One of them used to nigger and darky me around till I got hold of her and told her right quickly, right quietly one time. And Mr. Lloyd backed me up. The boss said, "This is no ordinary boy, Lucille. True, he's my servant, but I've got him in Columbia studying to be a dentist. And he's just as white inside as he is black. Treat him right, or I'll see why." And it wasn't long before this Lucille dame was gone, and he had a little Irish girl with blue eyes he treated mean as hell. And another thing I didn't like, though, sometimes I used to have to drink a lot with him. When there was no women around and Mr. Lloyd would get one of his blues spells, I start talking about his wife and how she hadn't walked for 18 years, just laying flat on her back. After about an hour of this, he'd want me to start drinking with him. And when he felt good from liquor, he'd start talking about women in general. And he'd ask me what they were like in Harlem. Then he'd tell me what they were like in Montreal, and Havana, and Honolulu. He'd even had gypsy women in Spain, Mr. Lloyd. Then he would drink and make me drink with him. And we'd be so drunk, I couldn't go to classes the next morning, and he wouldn't go to the office all day. About 4 o'clock, he'd send me for some clam broth and an American Mercury so he could sober up on Mencken. I'd give him an alcohol rub, and then he'd go off to the Roosevelt and have dinner with the society folks he knew. I might not see him again for days, but he'd slip me a greenback usually. Boy, you'll never lose anything through sticking with me. Here. And it would be a $5. Sometimes I wouldn't see Mr. Lloyd for weeks. Then he'd show up late at night with a chippy, and I'd start making drinks and sandwiches and smoothing down the bag. Then there'd be a round of women, 6 or 8 different ones in a row for days, and me working my hips off, keeping them fed and liquored up. This would go on till he got tired and had the blues again. Then he'd beat the hell out of one of them and send her off. Then we'd get drunk. When he sobered up, he'd telephone for his chauffeur and drive to White Plains to see his old lady, or down to the hotel where he lived with the secretary, and that would be that. He had so much damn money, Mr. Lloyd. I don't see where folks get so much cash, but I don't care so long as they're giving me some of it. And if it hadn't been for this colored woman, boy, I'd still be sitting pretty. I don't know where he got her. Out of one of them Harlem nightclubs, I guess. They came busting in about 4 o'clock one morning. I heard a woman laughing in the living room, and I knew it was a colored laugh. One of ours. So deep and pretty. It couldn't have been nothing else. I got up, of course, like I always did when I heard Mr. Lloyd come in. I broke some ice and I took him some drinks out. Yep, she was colored all right. One of those golden browns, like an Alabama moon. Swell looking kid. She had the old man standing on his ears. I never saw him looking so happy before. She kept him laughing till daylight, hugging and kissing. She had a hotline, that kid, without seeming serious. He fell for it. She hadn't worked in Harlem speakeasies for nothing. Jesus. She was like gin and vermouth mixed, you know? We got on swell too, that girl. Hi, pal, she said when she saw me bringing out the drinks. If it ain't old Harlem on the drive. She wasn't a bit hinty like so many folks when they're light-skinned complexion and up in the money. If she hadn't been the boss's girl, I'd have tried to make her myself. But she had a black boyfriend, a number writer on 135th Street, so she didn't need me. She was in love with him. Used to call him up soon as the boss got in the elevator bound for the office. Can I use this phone? She asked me that very morning. Sure, madam, I answered. Call me Pauline, she said. I ain't white. And we got on swell. I cooked her some bacon and eggs while she called up her sweetie. She told him she'd hooked a new butter and egg man with bucks. Well, the days went on. Each time the boss would show up with Pauline, it looked like blondes didn't have a break. A sugar brown had crowded the white babies out. But it was good for Mr. Lloyd. He didn't have the blues. And he stopped asking me to drink with him, thank God. He was crazy about this Pauline, didn't want no other woman. She kept him laughing all the time. She used to sing him bad songs that didn't seem bad when she was singing them. Only seemed funny and good-natured. She was a nice girl. A gorgeous thing to have around the house, but she knew what it was all about. Don't think she did. You've got to kid white folks along, she said to me. When you're dependent on them for a living, make them think you liked it. You said it, I agreed. And she really put the B on Mr. Lloyd. He bought her everything she wanted, and she was faithful to her as a husband. He used to ask me when she wasn't there what I thought she needed. I don't know what got into him. He loved her like a dog. She used to spend 2 or 3 nights a week with him, and the others with her boyfriend in Harlem. It was a hell of a long time before Mr. Lloyd found out about this colored fellow. When he did, it was pure accident. He saw Pauline going to the movies with them at the Capitol one night, a tall, black, good-looking guy.